Now the most interesting part that I wanted to show you is the Deadwood hedgerow that we built. Because finally I have let the sheep on the other side of the barn, on the big grassland, which was also partially overgrown with brambles. And the sheep are already, hopefully, eating them up, you know, because they're coming back now. This was all overgrown with bramble vines. All this was not even visible. It was a huge wall of brambles. And I cut them down, burned them down. And now I let the sheep in here to keep control of them. And yeah, it seems they're already eating them, which is nice. So, but it took me a long time to be able to put the sheep in here, because I wanted to do this. I wanted to build a Deadwood hedgerow, and without some people who helped me, who came over to visit me, who I knew them from my channel. They were viewers of my channel, and they came, like 2 guys separately. They came and helped me out sometimes, because now with the job I have very little time, and I took a week off now from job, and during this week with another guy, great guy, who helped me finish the job on this Deadwood hedgerow, and it serves its purpose pretty nicely. The sheep are actually keeping in. The villagers are probably happy now that the sheep are not running around in the village anymore, which was the case before when they had them on another abandoned property, but it was not properly fenced in. The fence was very, there were a lot of holes in it. And so far the Deadwood hedgerow holds fast. They haven't managed to breach it, and they're in here now for 3 or 4 days. So the idea is to build a fence that costs 0 money, and that eventually will grow into a living, real hedge, because the birds are sitting on it, shitting on it, and the seeds will fall down, take root, and over time the hedge will grow into a real hedge, a living hedge. So I just used 2 rows of posts, which I all took from cuttings, you know, when people were cutting their willows and their trees and their own hedges. I just took the branches and built this. And interestingly, all of these willow branches that I used as posts have actually a chance to take root and grow into real trees, which is already happening down here. I'm gonna show you. Lima! This dog is already chasing the sheep again. I hope that the sheep actually managed to keep down these brambles. They're already coming back en masse. But it seems so. It seems so. Here they have already done a good job. Lima, come! I still have to do some work on this door here, which I didn't really measure these posts very well, and I couldn't really attach this door nicely, so I still have to do some work here to get the door working. But I built it. The only thing that cost money from this door was actually these the screws that I used here. But all the material I got from this abandoned barn here, which I managed to purchase for very cheap. Nobody cared about it, and I had a chance to get this as well. And now the 2 meadows here are connected, and I have all this grassland. I think one reason why this was so cheap is that this can be flooded in the rainy season. All this grassland can be flooded, and only the high ground over there can be permanently used. But for my sheep this is perfect, because the flooding will keep all this nice and moist and let the grass grow nicely. And it's also a perfect soil for all these willows that are growing here. And here you see already what happens to my posts, you know. These were one of the first posts that put in, and they've turned into trees already. You can even see that these are different kinds of willow trees. This is a little bit more silvery. This is a little bit more green. Now, unfortunately, since I let the sheep in here, they have started to nibble on these on the front row here, and it seems like they've eaten already some of the shoots, you know. But it's nice, you know. On the other side, they will grow nicely, and I hope that this will all turn into a real hedge, you know, a real willow hedge. Fortunately, some of the posts are so high that the sheep can't even reach the top, and they will grow into trees anyways. Now, what I wanted to show you is that even branches laying on the ground, these are just left on the ground, like some of the rests, you know, of the leftovers. They are also shooting out, you know, and growing into trees. It's pretty fascinating. Also here, I see. This is a shoot. This is growing into trees. Underneath, there are already roots developing. And yeah, the idea is that all of this will turn into a living hedge in some time. So this is the other door that we built down here. And I planted more trees over here. We planted basically all the spots between the trees. We filled with willows that we just stuck into the ground. We probably planted hundreds of them already, in addition to these that we planted here. And you know, even the branches that seem dry, they you know, they shoot and become trees, which is pretty fascinating. It's actually absolutely fascinating what's happening here. Down here we get into the swampy area. The chickens are already down there drinking, taking their morning coffee, so to say, their dip of water. Every morning they come down here into the swamp to drink from the water that's standing here. Yeah, they feel absolutely fine here, I think. And I guess also the sheep are feeling well here. Oh. There's a deer. All right. Yeah. The posts that I planted here, as you can see, are also growing into trees. It's absolutely amazing. I even went on the other side of this fence that I built here and stuck just leftover branches that had already started to shoot. I just stuck them in there, and they are growing to trees as well. I want to turn this all into an impenetrable jungle teeming with wildlife. This is all nettles that at one point I will try to harvest them and make tea, nettle tea. Now look at this. I absolutely love this, you know. This is just so beautiful. How easy it is to plant trees, you know. It's so amazing. The dog is in his element. Yeah, I absolutely love how this Deadwood hedgerow looks like. How it blends into the landscape, you know. How it looks so non-invasive, you know. Look at this huge hazel bush here. This is what a hazel actually looks like if you let it grow. I think this property was abandoned 30 years ago, so this will probably represent about 30 years of hazel growth. This is 2 individual hazel bushes, and it's so amazing how this Deadwood hedgerow blends into the hazel, you know. I love it so much. I also made like organic round shapes, you know, because I wanted to build the hedgerow always along trees, you know, and incorporate these elderberries and the hazels into the fence. And I also thought about, you know, like these thick hazels. If you just let the hazel grow like this, it will make a tight fence by itself, you know. Just look at these two huge hazels, how there's almost no space in between. But anyways, I'm always fascinated when I walk by here, how beautiful it looks, and it's a nice experiment. I will see. I'm very curious, and the guy who helped me, Felix, he is also very curious about how this will look in like 10 years or so, you know. It's going to be an interesting experiment.
have not inherited Thule from our ancestors. We have borrowed it from our children.